Namaste, everyone. Today we are being joined by Dr. Abhay Jere, who is the Chief Innovation Officer for the Ministry of Government of India. And we are going to talk to him about how he's promoting the concept of innovation in our education system and in all fields of entrepreneurship in India. So welcome, Dr. Jere. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you're very busy with the Republic Day celebrations. So we're going to start with first your commitment for popularizing innovation in our education system, which has been considered a bit flawed for this concepts, especially because the education system that we have today was given to us by the British. I mean, India has had the history of universities like Takshila and Nalanda, but where do you think we went wrong, and what do you think you are doing now to help us fix this?
It's a very big question.
I know. Yeah.
So basically, as you rightly said, India was epicenter of education once upon a time. But eventually, after different invasions which happened, and subsequently in British period, we lost that pole position. And British actually instituted an education system which will generate clerks.
Yeah.
So brown, what we can say, goras, which will actually follow them,
Yeah.
Yeah? And in that entire design of things, yeah, we somewhere lost our ethos. We somewhere lost our cultural heritage, and the systems which we had built over centuries. After independence also, we carried forward the same education policy. Undoubtedly, some tweakings were done, from time to time. But the basic fundamental remained unchanged. So now we believe with this new education policy, which Government of India in last year or in 2020, which we have launched, we believe that we will change this, and there will be a tectonic shift which will happen.
For higher education or education like from the primary level?
No. The shift will happen from in the entire education system. So there will be a substantial change in primary and school education, and subsequently that change will be carried forward to higher education. And we believe that this new education system, which we have proposed through this new education policy or National Education Policy 2020, is that this policy will be ingrained in our ethos, in our culture, but it will have all the dimensions to address the requirements of 21st century.
Yeah.
And from that perspective, innovation is very, very good.
Yeah.
Currently, if you really look at our current education system, which is going, students, parents, teachers, educational institutes are chasing grades and marks.
Yes.
They are not chasing ideas.
Yeah.
So we have to ensure now that they, instead of chasing these grades and marks, they start exploring ideas. They start chasing ideas, converting those ideas into something very concrete, which will eventually lead to IP creation, which will lead to startups, which will lead to entrepreneurship, which will lead to wealth creation, but that shift has to happen in mindset. And as education chief innovation officer, I am working on that cultural shift.
So are we going to train teachers? Because it will require a lot of unlearning also. Full generation has grown up.
So we are doing interventions at multiple points. We are working with teachers We are training them. Because if you see where if you ask a question, where creativity gets killed, it's in two places: at home, by parents and teachers, and at schools. Because even if someone asks a good question or a bright question, they are shut down by saying कि बाबा तेरे को marks कितना मिला बता.
Yeah.
How much you have scored? What are your grades? बड़ी बड़ी बातें मत कर.
Yeah.
That is mostly what is happening at home as well as in schools.
Yes.
So we are not celebrating ideas. We are not celebrating out of box thinking. So intervention is required at multiple levels. So we are working with teachers, telling them that please don't kill ideas.
Yes.
We also need to tell parents that please don't push your son or daughter towards marks, but make them think creatively, make them problem solvers. And we also need to train institutions.
Yeah, to have that atmosphere.
Because if you really look at what kind of data metrics these institutions put out, if you really look school, they will say, Hamara 10th ka result 100% hai.
Yeah.
They will never say कि हमने इतनी ideas generate किए, हमने इतने IPs बनाए. They will never talk on all those things.
So this new grading system for institutions that you've come up with, the Atal ranking system. So is that going to help in this? What are the parameters that you're going to rank?
So ARIA, that is Atal Ranking of Institutions on Innovation Achievements, we call it as ARIA. It's a systematic effort to actually rank higher educational institutes. We are not currently working in schools, but higher educational institutes on parameters related to innovation and entrepreneurship. Okay. So we are asking institutions about questions like, or we are asking them data like, how many of your professors are on board of startups? How many of them are doing startups? How many patents they have filed? Students and professors and institutes. How many of those patents have granted? Okay, you have granted patents, but how many of those patents are taken forward for commercialization and technology transfer? If you have taken it forward, what kind of revenue you are generating? What kind of courses specifically related to innovation and entrepreneurship you are running in your institutions? What kind of engagements you have with angel investors, pre-angel investors, venture capitalists? What kind of technologies you have within your organization which could be taken forward or ready for commercialization in terms of TRL levels, technology readiness levels. So when we started asking, or how many number of startups you are incubating, what is their net worth? How many startups failed? How many startups are mature enough and they can graduate out? When they will graduate out? So these kind of parameters we are focusing on. There is no such ranking anywhere in the world. This is a completely indigenously developed ranking which we have developed. I am told that some of the other countries are also looking at this ranking process and they're adopting it.
Yeah.
And what I believe is that through this ranking, we will able to push the culture in these higher educational institutes. Because when we initially started with this ranking 3 years back, even very, very premier institutes like IITs and NITs and IISc didn't have data immediately.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, how many of them actually, do they have these numbers? No.
No. Initially, they didn't have.
But now they're going to
they took about 4 or 5 months to actually collect that data. So during first edition, there were a lot of back and forth which was happening. We were talking to them a lot. Okay, but now majority of these institutions have institutionalized this process over a period of 3 years, where they know now what kind of data we will be asking, and they have started collecting data, maintaining the data in that format. And this year, we in first year we had only 460 institutes participating, out of which about half of them given only half-baked data.
Yeah.
This year we have more than 1,430 institutes participating. So So it's a more than a threefold
Yeah.
jump, you know, it's almost a threefold jump in what we have achieved in this. And what we believe is that as this ranking will get popularized more, more and more institutes will come into net, and they will start internally giving push to their faculty members, to their students, to get into innovation and entrepreneurship, because eventually at the end of the day they have to survive in market.
That's
And
true.
they use all these rankings, that we are ranked top 10, or we are in band A or band B, given by Ministry of Education, on terms of innovation and entrepreneurship. And fortunately, innovation and entrepreneurship have become quite a good buzzwords, you know, so everyone wants to get associated with it.
So,
And
sir, this kind of paradigm shift that you've kind of spearheaded in the last 3 years, how did it come about? How did you like? I mean, is it because of the pandemic, or because nobody talked these terms, like 5 years ago or 10 years ago? So, what was the turning point? Like, why is this happening now?
so what happened was, it's a long story, but I will try to give a very short answer to it. So after coming from US in 2010, I started working in this field of innovation and entrepreneurship. Okay, simultaneously along with my job in persistent systems. So the founder of Persistent Systems actually allowed me to, Dr. Anand Deshpande, allowed me to work. He said, okay, you focus on your work, but in your free time, you can do these things. And it happened in 2015 when our Modi ji government came. Modi ji came as Prime Minister. They announced this Smart City Mission. And Pune was bidding for Smart City Mission at that time. And at that time, we were exploring what kind of different citizenship engagements we can do. And we actually did our first hackathon there.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
So
was in
Digital Pune Hackathon.
2014, 2015.
2014, 2015. 2015, we did this Digital Pune Hackathon. And it was so big hit among students. At that time, this culture of hackathon was not there.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a new thing for students that they will do, they will actually solve the real life problems, and they will work with police, they will work with municipal corporations and those kind of things. And huge excitement was there on both the sides. And we said we can capitalize on this excitement, because in India we have millions of youth, who are capable and keen on ensuring that this country progresses. On the other side, we have millions of challenges which need to be solved. So if you can actually just marry them or get them on the same platform, then you can create miracles. So in 2016, I approached, immediately after this hackathon, I approached a union minister for, at that time, HRD, Human Resource Development, Shri Prakash Javadekar, and told him that I would like to do this hackathon at a pan-national scale. So you had not heard the word hackathon before. So he said, what is the concept? I explained him the concept. And he said, okay, let's try it. Nobody has tried it, so no harm in trying. And he gave me a very good officer, IAS officer, to work with, to guide me how to navigate. And the first hackathon, that is Smart India Hackathon, which we did, itself became a huge success. It became world's biggest hackathon. We had 40,000 students participating from more than 1,200 colleges. And we got problem statements from more than 25 different ministries, central agencies. So the central agencies suddenly realized that youngsters can solve their problem or offer their solution. And Prime Minister was aware of this entire concept. So he gave a huge push to this concept. So after 17 and 18 hackathon, Ministry of Education felt that we should have a dedicated cell within the ministry to promote innovation and entrepreneurship. So systematic efforts could be done. Okay. So very focused efforts could be done to promote this, to work in this area. So we started this. So Ministry of Education started this cell. I am the first chief innovation officer for Ministry of Education, coming from a private sector
Yeah.
on a contractual basis with the ministry. And then when I came into this ministry, then I started looking at things very holistically. So what kind of policy interventions you will require? What kind of hand-holding support systems you need to create? What kind of national platforms you need to build? Then what kind of innovative courses we need to start? And then when we are doing all these kind of interventions, how we can measure the outcome?
Yeah.
Okay. So we started working on all these pillars in a sense. And now we have more than 10, 15 programs addressing each of these pillars. And we are giving that big push within educational institutes. And I'm very happy that educational institutes are really responding well to what we are doing.
You know, one of the often repeated complaints about India and the work culture here has always been that, you know, nothing happens and things don't move. But the way you're saying that everything is coming into place when, you know, a good idea happens, do you think is because the government is also pushing it now at their levels, and, you know, and our time has come? Like, what do you think? Like, how is it all, kind of coming together?
So I think this is because of the multiple factors coming together at one time. Certainly, undoubtedly, government's role, especially Honorable Prime Minister's role in pushing these concepts, is really very high. If you see last month when Modi ji was in Kashi, he took 3 vows, you know, and one of the vow is innovation. I don't know how many of your audience actually know that. One vow is innovation, second vow is on Atmanirbhar, and third vow is on Swachh Bharat. So innovation is really core to his heart.
Yeah.
So that is one part. He speaks about it. Then this startup culture has picked up really very well after 2014.
That's when the week happened, and, you know, he's celebrating.
And what happened was that as the word, the entire thing was catching up, these concepts were catching up. We were here at right time, at right place, maybe. Okay. And when we started giving an actual push within the system started responding quite aggressively.
So in a way, innovation has been part of a cultural ethos. You know, it's not an alien concept to us. And, you know, when everything comes together, then the children of this country will respond. That's how hackathons are such a huge success now. You know, they've increased in their scale and scope so much. So how are we going to tie it up to now the patenting thing is becoming big, right? Because I was going through the recent report by the index, the Global Innovation Index. So what are we doing in terms of increasing our patents? And what are we doing in terms, and what does it actually mean? Like, where you rank in this, the innovation index? Like, can you take us through that? Like, what does it mean? Like, what rank a country has? Like,
so this Global Innovation Index, which you are talking about, is published by WIPO. That's World International Patent Organization. Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO. They do that. And every year they are actually looking at the innovation scenario within that country and try to rank countries on their innovation index. Okay. So in 2014, our rank was 81. Switzerland at that time was topper, and I think it continues to be. It continues to be number 1. Okay. So we started our interventions after this. And there are multiple agencies which are doing innovation, promoting innovation and entrepreneurship. And as a result, and we are also doing our bit. So as a result of all these efforts, in last 6 years, our ranking on innovation and GII ranking has gone up substantially. I think India is the only country which has jumped so substantially.
Is it because now we're filing more patents?
No. So that is one part of it. We are addressing multiple issues.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we are 46.
Yeah.
And when you look at GII parameters, there are multiple parameters. It comes from patent filing, startups, ease of doing business, availability of capital, then number of even innovative, what we can say, technologies developed. Even they look at creative videos developed and so on and so forth. Then they look at some ability, mathematical ability, literature, reading ability of students, and
Yeah.
all these things.
Hmm.
A lot of parameters are there. And we have started scoring quite good in terms of research papers, patents. We have then number of startups, funding generated. On these parameters, we have started doing quite well. But to be very honest here, still a country with 1.3 billion people,
Yeah.
46 rank doesn't do justice to our potential.
Yeah.
Okay. China
Because
ranks
of a lot of
12th.
people leave, like we have to address the issue of brain drain at some point.
So yes, we have to. But I for last 2 or 3 years, we are also started seeing brain drain.
Yeah.
Brain gain.
Reverse, yeah.
Reverse brain drain or brain gain, what we can call. So that has started happening. But see, China is still 12th. We are 46th.
Yeah.
Huge gap. And if you actually look at countries which are ahead of us, there are even small countries like
Small countries, yeah.
Vietnam and Moldova, and
even Thailand is
and, these kind of Malta. These are the many people might not have heard their names.
You think it's because we've been just laid back in
no. No. So yeah, there are two reasons to it. One, our data collection is still very poor.
Yeah.
Okay. Second, some of the parameters within GII are per percentage population and those kind of things. So in actual numbers, we might be more, but just because of our population density, it pulls us down. It pulls us down. So this is the GII part of it. Regarding patent, which you asked, question. If you ask me, we have to compare ourselves now with the leaders. We cannot compare ourselves with other countries.
Yeah.
So, and if we compare ourselves with leaders, then there is huge scope for improvement. For example, on an annual basis, China is filing somewhere around 16 lakh papers. Okay. US is already half of China now. Okay. Or China is double of US now. You can say. So US is somewhere 6.57. Okay. And if you ask India's number, how much we do, we are somewhere around 50 to 55,000 only.
Yeah, there's no comparison, obviously.
Hardly any comparison. And on top of it, 60 to 65% from these 50 to 55,000 are by NRIs or non-residents. Okay. So the actual filing happens happening from the country is not so high.
Yeah, obviously.
We have 55,000 higher educational institutes.
Why is that? Like, what are the main reasons you think for this?
The reasons are our educational institutes, as I was saying earlier, our educational institutes never chased ideas.
Yeah.
So they never created that ecosystem.
The ecosystem.
For owning up our idea. It's not that Chinese are only brainy people, right?
Yeah.
Or ideas come to people in Israel or South Korea.
Yeah.
We also get good ideas.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, majority of our higher educational institutes don't have that ecosystem
to promote that.
Take ideas logically forward and owe them.
Yeah.
So why you have IP? Because you say you are owning that idea.
You're owning that idea,
right? So we are trying to push that.
What is the process for this? Like if a student comes up with an idea, what is the process of filing for the IP?
So that process was entirely missing. That ecosystem, you require that ecosystem. how to write a
Yeah,
patent,
exactly.
what claims you
Yeah.
should have, what prior art search you should dare.
Now,
You
do we
should do.
have like a
And
form?
apart from that, so you require an attorney who will help you, or an
Will help
expert
you,
who will
fine.
help you in
Yeah.
writing. And on top of that, the charges associated with filing patents and those kind
Yeah.
of things.
Yeah.
So because of our effort, and I'm really thankful to Ministry of Commerce here. About 4-5 months back, they have created a special category for educational institutes, and they have reduced IP filing fees for educational institutions by more than 80%.
Oh, that's, yeah. So
Yeah,
that really help. Yeah.
that is going to help substantially.
Yeah.
You know, earlier, all the educational institutes were treated in par with companies. So if a company is filing a patent, they have to pay the same money or the same charges as the
Yeah.
educational institute. So educational institute cannot be treated in par with a company, right?
Yeah.
So we pushed, and Honorable Minister for Commerce Piyush Goyal ji actually went ahead, immediately accepted our demand, and issued gazette notification, I think, in a period of 10 or 15 days.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you've also talked now in your latest TED Talk about some a new MBA program that you've helped design. Can you take us through that? Like, what is it? What institute?
So as I was saying earlier, when we are working on this promoting this ecosystem within
Yeah.
our innovation ecosystem,
Yeah.
I talked about 4 or 5 different pillars, 4 pillars, right?
Yeah.
Like policy intervention,
Yeah.
hand-holding institutions, creating platforms to showcase innovations. We have to, and the 4th pillar was innovative courses,
Innovative
which
course.
can push
Yeah.
innovation and entrepreneurship. And so that MBA program actually falls into that pillar, you know, or part of that pillar. So what we are trying to do here is that we want students, youngsters who have good ideas to systematically pursue their idea forward and convert it into an entrepreneurship or enterprise.
Yeah.
Okay. So usually what happens, because still we carry that legacy, 70 years old, 75 years old legacy, that mindset, except maybe Gujarat or Rajasthan, where there is an entrepreneurial mindset in the society itself.
Yeah, in society
In
itself.
other states, it's more of a service kind of a do job.
And also, there's also always been like a distance between academia and entrepreneurship, like just as part of our psyche, you know, the Indian psyche.
Yes.
We never thought that those two could coexist.
Yeah.
You know?
So because what happens is that academicians are trained to pursue Saraswati.
Saraswati, and the Saraswati and Lakshmi, they said, like, you know, they're
but we believe now that academicians are the best people who can pursue Lakshmi and Saraswati simultaneously.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
because if so they think research is different from and innovation is different.
Innovation is different,
So, but when you start defining what, and for me, the definition is very, very simple. You know, if I have to define research, then I will define it in a very simple terms, that it is conversion of wealth into new knowledge. You put resources, you work on it, you do experiments, and you create new knowledge.
And then it's cyclical. That will lead to more wealth.
Yes. And innovation is conversion of that new knowledge back to wealth.
Back to wealth,
Yeah. So if an academician is there, he can do research good. And if we push him that you can do innovation also, then initially he was not allowed to do, or he was not incentivized to do.
Yeah, incentivized to do.
He now can do it. But coming back to your earlier question of MBA,
about the MBA,
innovation and entrepreneurship, what happened was that when we spoke to large number of these youngsters, I was talking about the society, large number of youngsters who had great ideas, they told us that, sir, we want to do it. But our parents are not allowing it. Our parents wants us to take up a job in top good 5 or 6 companies which are there, you know, or our boyfriend, girlfriends are not very keen because there is a pressure on marriage and all those kind
Management,
of things. Yeah.
exactly.
Huh.
Mm.
So, and entrepreneurship is a high risk thing,
Yeah.
right? So we said, let's conceptualize this program, MBA Entrepreneurship, Venture Development, Innovation and Venture Development. And what we were told that this will be an incubator-based program.
Okay.
It's not going to be a classroom-based program. So a institute which wants to run this program needs to have a startup incubator.
Okay.
Okay. And 70% of the component is going to be incubator-based. 30% is going to be classroom-based. And students can take admissions into this program, MBA program or PGDM program. MBA, PGDM, both we are giving, as if possible as groups, so that they can form their own teams and work on their ideas. Okay. And they will get right kind of mentoring. And the syllabus, which or the course content which we have designed, is actually based on that. What kind of mentoring support they will require. And if they do that, they will get credits. Okay. So we also ensure that they get a systematic handholding and support.
Yeah.
So under garb of that MBA, actually students are pursuing entrepreneurship. Okay. So they will work systematically for 2 years. Then once you have gone through it for 2 years, you get a feel that whether you're moving it in the right direction or not.
Yeah. What kind of colleges have joined this?
So currently it's we have 20 universities which are there, which have accepted this program, like Gujarat Technical University is there, SRM is there. They have accepted this program. If you want, I can share with you the list of all 20 institutions who have this program. Graphic Era is there, and they are trying to explore how students can be worked on it. And as I said, boyfriend, girlfriends can tell their spouses that they are doing MBA.
Yeah, working with
they are actually doing entrepreneurship. Parents can tell their relatives that my son or my daughter is doing MBA.
Yeah.
And doing, if they are successful, they emerge as entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
If they fail, they have still learned basic traits.
Learn something, yeah.
Yeah. And it makes them entrepreneur.
Yeah. And you've also talked about a toy-a-thon in your last TED talk. So can you take us through that? Like, how interesting is it for little, young children who have made these interesting toys, as you were saying, which are, very Indian in their concepts, yes, yet very out of the box. So is it, you had only one? Have you had only one so far?
Yeah, because we started last year. This year also we will have. So, so Toy-a-thon was again based on concepts for innovation and Atmanirbhar Bharat. Because this toy industry, Indian toy industry, is quite big. It's about $1.5 billion industry. And
we only get, so far we get a lot of toys from China. Is that?
Yeah, we import. About 85% of our toys we can safely say are imported.
Imported, yeah.
Yeah, imported. And majority of them are not good quality toys.
Yeah.
So safety wise, security wise, yes, they are not very, they are not good. More importantly, means we are losing foreign exchange undoubtedly. This 1.5 billion is a big money, huge. Yeah. But more importantly, what happens is when our young kids play with these foreign toys, which are developed in China or Japan or US, based on those concepts, these young kids are very impressionable mind. They have impressionable mind.
Yeah.
And they actually start chasing them or treating those characters as heroes.
That's true, yeah.
So our kids certainly know about Marvel and
Avengers
and Disney's, DC's,
Yeah.
How many of them know about Panchatantra heroes?
Yeah.
They hardly know.
Yeah.
So what happens is that their mind gets captured.
And then it's a different value system also.
Exactly. I was coming to that. So value systems becomes completely different.
Yeah.
So if you have to give right kind of value system, which is based on our culture, our ethos, our civilization, then we have to come up with real good state-of-art toys,
Yeah.
which will compete them.
Hmm.
Okay. And what we believe is that because our culture is also unique, the toys which we can offer to international market
Yeah.
will also have a very unique niche,
Yeah.
because there is no other country with such a great legacy of culture, you know.
Yeah.
Huh? So there will be a lot of uptake for our toys if we can do it in a state-of-art manner,
Yeah.
you know. So that was the reason we started with this toycathon, where we said, let's push our youngsters to think out of box and come up with real good examples. And students have really surprised us. And I have not talked about that in my talk, but
Yeah.
eventually we presented these winners of toycathon to 48 toy industry manufacturers.
Yeah, I was
Toy
gonna
manufacturers,
say
right?
now, like some manufacturing units have to be,
So
involved.
we actually did that.
Hmm.
And that include even big toy manufacturers like Fun School and Hamleys and those kind of. Huh? And they also liked these concepts. So I am told that till yesterday, 46 MOUs are going to get signed
Pretty
between
amazing. Yeah.
students and toy manufacturers. So a kid who is in 9th standard, 10th standard,
Yeah.
actually giving an idea to a company,
Yeah.
and company is going to commercialize that product. See the kind of revolution it will create.
Exactly. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these kind of interactions are happening, and we believe this toycathon has really helped us in pushing or identifying some of the toys which are the concepts which we had lost, like
Yeah.
something like Wag Bakri,
Hmm.
you know, or a toy based on Chakravyuha. Nobody nowadays play all these chai.
Yeah.
Wag Bakri, when we say we know chai,
Yeah. Yeah.
we,
Actually, that's true,
we
yeah.
don't know how to play a game. You know,
Yeah.
it was I think it is from Himachal Pradesh,
Okay.
and hardly people play nowadays.
Yeah, in fact, the pandemic has made so much of learning, like from home, and so that brings me to another question of how are you going to bridge that divide, which is like for areas which are tech challenged, how are we going to bring them into these schemes, and how are we going to join them to this kind of revolution that you're talking about?
So pandemic, see, pandemic was that way when it comes to education, was blessing in disguise in a sense,
Yeah,
because there was huge push
to
to
digitalize.
digitization or
Yeah.
digital education within this country. Yeah, even kids in the remotest part of this country
have bought a
started
smartphone
using
now.
cell phones,
Yeah.
and there were a lot of drives actually across the country to collect old cell phones or to actually procure cell phones, so they could be given to kids. And I was on the committee for the teachers of national awards. We were actually,
Okay.
and majority of the teachers actually which got to the final round, we interviewed about 150 plus teachers from different states. Eventually they went to 3 or 4 rounds of screening. They had done phenomenal work in pushing this digitization. Okay, the kind of content which they had created for their students in their own native languages,
Yeah.
And you will see thousands and thousands, I would say lakhs of videos now have got created on basic concepts of mathematics, basic concepts of science, languages, even large number of videos, hundreds of videos, even in language like Bodo are now available. Okay, because there was this huge push.
Yeah.
Okay, now, and what I believe, that considering this 2 years of experience, that education has changed forever in this country now.
Yeah.
It's now going to be always a hybrid mode. So it's not that digitization is now because once
Yeah.
schools will
Once
open,
once we go
digitization will
offline,
go.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, no, no.
No.
Okay. So the hybrid mode is going to get continued. Some part is going to be digital, some part is going to be physical part of it. So the students will actually slowly move in that direction, and youngsters are digitally native.
That's
We have problems with
yeah, yeah,
adopting technology. They
yeah,
don't have problem with adopting
yeah,
technology.
yeah.
They just need access to a good gadget and internet.
That's true.
And
Yeah.
with this 4G push, 3G, 4G push, and now 5G coming up,
5G coming up, yeah.
we believe that entire nook and corner of this country will be digitally connected. And this in next 3, 4, 5 years, you will see a big revolution, which
That's
is
amazing.
happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we have covered most of what, at least what I knew about the work that you've done. Is there anything that you would want to introduce that, something is in the pipeline, something else that's happening? I know this year we've been celebrating the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. So any other new initiative that you're working on that you'd want to tell us about?
So I am working on two very interesting initiatives. One is currently I am trying to now train 50,000 teachers
Yeah.
in schools
Yeah.
as innovation ambassadors.
Wow. Okay.
So that because as I said earlier, the teachers kill good
Teachers
ideas.
have to, yeah.
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 So we need to really sensitize them to appreciate good ideas, to handhold good ideas, to support them, to take them forward. So we are training these teachers on 4 or 5 very, very important concepts like design thinking.
How is that happening? Yeah.
So we are actually going training through them to various 4, 5 different modules.
Okay.
Okay, like design thinking, critical thinking, problem solving is very important aspect of it. Then IPR management is another aspect of it. Then how to handhold an idea at an ideation level, at pre-incubation level, at incubation level.
Okay.
Then when it comes to funding, what are different kind of fundings mechanisms are there? What a pre-angel funding means, what a seed capital means, what is an angel investor, what is a venture capitalist. If you have to do startups, how you can do startups, where to go, how to register them, basic fundamentals related to finance, what is working capital, all those kind of things.
Yeah.
None of the teachers are aware about it. So we have taken a mission of training 50,000 such teachers.
All over India?
All over India. Currently, we are going with CBSE schools. We are starting with CBSE schools. Eventually, after this CBSE, this 50 is from CBSE and tribal, Ministry of Tribal schools, Eklavya schools, Kendriya Vidyalayas. Then we will go to state levels. Okay. So this is one very interesting program which we are doing. Second, another interesting program which we are doing is we are coming up with national innovation and startup policy or entrepreneurship policy for schools.
For schools. What is it?
So it means that if a school student or a teacher has to do a startup, okay, what should be the equity sharing mechanisms? What should be IP sharing mechanism? How much school can hold an equity?
Okay.
How much time a teacher can spend on a startup? Okay. How much time a student can spend on startup? What kind of support school should give to a student or a teacher who is keen on doing startup? So currently no such mechanism exists. No such guidelines exist. So we are coming up with those guidelines, and those guidelines will be announced very soon.
Okay.
And third very interesting initiative again in school sector which we are doing is we are coming up with an elective for CBSE. And once it is stabilized with CBSE, it will go to other state boards also. From 6th standard, we are actually introducing a subject on design thinking and creativity.
Oh, that's good done. Because like when I talk to a lot of my peers, CBSE is now not like, a lot of them want to send their kids to the IB board or the ICSE board, so this will be like a big facelift for CBSE as a board.
Yes. And why just for CBSE? We will send it to even state boards.
State
You
boards.
know,
Yeah.
majority of the people you see currently in great
Yeah.
positions are not from IB boards, right? They
Yeah,
are
that's
from
exactly.
state
Yeah.
boards and CBSE
Yeah.
board.
Yeah.
So,
That's
IB board is not only the way for success,
yeah.
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So what we this course, which will start from 6th standard, it's going to be an elective that on design thinking means
How will
what?
you find teachers for this? Like
Again, training,
training,
exhaustive training of teachers will
exhaustive
happen.
training. Yeah.
Yes, there cannot be, because you have to. These are very new concepts.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And I think India will be the only country to introduce such courses at school
Exactly.
level.
Yeah.
So how to identify a problem, how to visualize a solution. Currently, because of
Yeah.
this rote learning thing, which
Yeah.
we are
Yeah.
teaching
A lot of
students.
critical thinking is not encouraged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And design thinking actually will help in doing that. How to visualize a problem, how to visualize a solution,
Yeah.
how to proceed on that solution. So if you have to emerge as problem solver, currently what happens, our youth looks at someone else to solve their problem. Either government को देखेगा, नहीं तो है ना किसी foreign company को देखेगा, या खुद को छोड़ के सब जगह देखेगा.
Yeah.
So we have to tell our youngsters that, boss, you need to solve your own problem. Why you have to look at others?
Yeah, that brings me to another question, that how you're addressing this concept of innovation in education. I also want to know, are you going to change the way India looks at entrepreneurship? Because do we still have a very Western view of what an entrepreneur should do? Like, are we going to look at it in a way that can benefit more people? Will we have our own concept of entrepreneurship?
Yes, so social entrepreneurship. So recently, actually, we did celebrated National Innovation Week, and one of the discussions in that was innovation, human values, and sustainability.
Yeah.
See, none of the enterprises are eventually going to survive if they are not sustainable. And when I'm talking about sustainable, from a sustainability perspective for green, climate change, those aspects, SDG, from an SDG goal perspective.
Yeah.
Okay. And if they don't address human values. So spirituality and entrepreneurship somewhere has to go hand in hand.
Yeah. And which is so
and many times they are orthogonal.
Yeah.
When you talk about entrepreneurship, you are more ruthless.
Yeah.
When you are talking about spirituality.
We're told to hustle and work hard. Yeah.
So and spirituality is something very different.
Yeah.
But if we can converge these two, successfully combine these two, then the kind of enterprises which we will have will be really based on Indian value system.
Yeah.
And that's what you can call spirituality, you can call it human values, you can call it anything.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. The
jargon is a more holistic approach.
So jargon could be anything, but at the end of the day, we have to ensure that we actually we combine.
Indianize, Okay. Thank you so much. I think we've covered most of what we wanted to talk about. And all the best. It's amazing what you're doing. And it's such an interesting talk. Like, I got to know so many things that are changing in our country around us. And thank you for helping us achieve these targets. And I'm sure you meet these students and you must be seeing the change on ground, and it must be so rewarding. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Organizer. I really would like to thank you for actually giving me this opportunity to talk to you.
So much for talking to us.
The kind of work Organizer is doing is really phenomenal.